Okay, in the words of my grandfather, we're gonna grab it and growl. We're gonna grab it and growl. I've got to listen to 39 minutes of Carlos King. It's 8:52 a.m. Let's just get it over with. Hey, raindrops, yes! Oh my God, he's really gonna make notification a thing. You are a knot, though. You have a knot in your throat that makes you speak with that impediment. You have a knot in the way we do not want to see you. So I guess it is a notification because we do not want to hear from you. That's why I'm watching the shit so that other people don't have to get a spittle shower through their speakers. All the success and money you got and you couldn't take one elocution class, not one. The most boring of the past 7 episodes, this one you liked. I mean, we were still arguing about dead nephews. He said everything felt real, but it also felt boring. Oh, he liked the episode because he got to ogle Ralph. Well, I guess you would be interested in him and his Floridian secrets. Were you down there with Ralph in Tampa? You seem like a Tampa tramp. And Carlos does give tramp. He may not be one, but he definitely gives tramp. He definitely gives, I will sleep with your man. Now, I won't. I don't want them kind of problems. All you end up with is somebody else's headache. I want you to keep your headache. Oh, God. Ralph's government cheese thick. Thick cut bacon thick. Child, yes, Ralph is thick in the head. And so are you. I'm just not lusting over a jobless man with Floridian secrets. I mean, he's all right. He all right. Like, I ain't gonna deny it. The man is cute, but all this thirst, honey, he just worth a sip of water. You just gulp, gulp, gulp. He said this show needs some men, but the Atlanta housewives are notoriously unmarried. I mean, what about Todd? Todd's a man. Isn't he? But that's right. I mean, we know Kenya ain't got a man. Sheree ain't got a man. I mean, we got Ralph, but that's a piece of a man. Sanya got Ross, but she keeping her husband off camera because she wants to keep her merge. But why aren't you looking at Todd? Don't run your blood up? Oh, that's right. You can't talk about Todd because y'all dropped that light on Elise Neal's head and it's been nothing but bad business ever since. Then you tried to steal his wife's life story from his mother-in-law that hates him. So I can see why you wouldn't lust after Todd, the toddler. Also, that Head Molati thing, I don't know. He said Ross and Ralph are dimes and it's a crime that we aren't seeing them. I don't watch to lust after somebody else's husband, especially a husband with Floridian secrets. So he actually takes Candy's side and says, okay, she's not an emotional friend, so you should recognize as the non-emotional friend that Marlo is an emotional friend. But Marlo ain't being emotional. Marlo's doing this for a check and a plot line. Dysfunction for direct deposit. And I ain't giving it a pass. Marlo can kiss my ass. But now he throw Candy under the bus saying Phaedra of all people accused her of not being a good friend. Lying, accusing Phaedra, who literally said, oh, well, you know, Portia, Candy and her husband were going to drug you and assault you. But Phaedra is the authority on what is and isn't a good friend. I don't know why she isn't under the jail. I don't know why. He said Phaedra said back when Nene had that Marge Simpson blonde on her head, which was not a wig of her choice, she was playing the wicked stepmother in Cinderella on Broadway. If you're gonna call the hair out, call the job out too. Then he gonna call it a rooster's nest. Roosters don't have nests, hens have nests. Get your barnyard straight, Carlos. If there's anything you'd know, Carlos, I'd figure it would be cock. But apparently, even with that, your knowledge is lacking. I know my cock. I know it. Now, hold on. Candy did not have Phaedra's back in that instance because Phaedra was starting mess. Candy will not have your back when it's a problem you created, but she will have your back when the world comes at you. But if you're going to start mess, Candy's not getting involved. You can't have somebody's back when they're causing the problem. Carlos loves to omit the facts. Now, I will agree with Carlos on this. Sometimes your motivating friends need to be able to be emotional friends because we go through emotional things. Death and grief are very rough. And sometimes it's not time to focus on your bag, it's time to focus on yourself. So he says Candy has to work on her emotional intelligence because she has yes people around her. You also have to realize you can't call on every friend for every situation. Some friends are better at comforting and consoling than others. That's when some friends shine. And that's when some friends twinkle. Don't mean they ain't your friend, just it ain't their skill set. Or maybe they have too much trauma attached to it to be of service. Now Carlos is saying, Sonya doesn't owe you any loyalty, Candy. Well, if they're vacationing in Jamaica and they're truly fostering an off-camera friendship, and she ain't spending that time with Marlo, and Marlo ain't tagging along, then to me, I'm getting fugazi for filming. I'm getting faking the funk. But you wouldn't know anything about fake Carlos because you are fake, so therefore you can't spot it when you see it. He doesn't believe in the Kenya and Candy friendship. He thinks it's an alliance. What's wrong with an alliance? These heifers are at work. Work. Kenya and Candy. I'll let it stand. They are both shrewd businesswomen who at the end of the day care about bucks in the bank and not much else. Ain't nothing wrong with it. They realize, look, we can either fight and one of us will end up off the show, or we can band together and get them bands. I think it was smart on Kenya and Candy's part. Neither one of them wanted another Nene situation. It was a friendship of convenience, like your friendship with Candy was a friendship of convenience so you could steal the stories that her mother had to tell. That was also a friendship of convenience. But we don't talk about that, do we, Carlos? He gonna say you can tell a friendship's real if they stay friends after the show. No. Friends come into your life for a reason, season, or lifetime. If someone leaves the show willingly or unwillingly, their reason or season could change. They could be leaving the show because they just have too many cameras, too much Hollywood. They need a break. The person who stays on the show could be chasing their bag for a million different reasons, and they need to focus on their career. Career! Carlos sitting here pontificating like he's some type of psychotherapist and knows about friendship. Please, let's ask Candy what you know about friendship. Let's ask Elise Neal what you know about friendship, if she can even remember after that light fell on her head. Then he brings Garcelle and Sutton into it and says, oh, there's no way in real life Sutton would befriend Garcelle. I don't think so. I see their friendship as genuine. Did the show bring them together? Yes, but Garcelle ain't a fake the funk type. He says if Portia was still on the show, Candy would be friends with Portia and not Kenya. Carlos. Do you not know how long Candy held that grudge against Tamika Scott from Escape? When we now found out Latasha was the heifer that probably set that shit up? I'm sorry, I can see the OGs sticking together. I can see that. But still, Candy is not desperate like the rest of these heifers. Candy has her own money. Candy is still relevant. So I feel like Candy can choose who she wants to be friends with and who she doesn't. I feel like if Candy wanted to take a newbie under her wing rather than hang with the old dusty OG, she wouldn't have to hang out with Kenya or no plotline Sheree. I feel like you look at this without any nuance or critical thinking skills, like you look at most of life. Y'all talk to somebody who's I know what I'm talking about. You know what you're talking about so much Bravo fired you. You know. He doesn't think Sanya's doing anything wrong and says, well, in real life, this isn't real life, boo-boo. We need people constantly snapping, popping, and bringing it. This is real life boiled down to its best and most fascinating moments. So it ain't real. It's not that Sanya has to pick sides, Carlos. It's that she seemed like she was cuddling up to Candy off camera, but then on camera, she's with Marlo trying to get a scene because Candy isn't as interesting and Candy knows that. Nuance, fool, nuance. Child, even Monietta said Candy didn't have her back. I'm sorry, we're adults. Why does somebody need to have your back? And then he keeps whining, where are the people that don't pick sides? It's a reality show. It's like any team sport. It's okay to pick a side. We had talls versus smalls for season, but now they show us so divided. These are hateful harpies. They're two sides of the same dysfunctional coin. So now Carlos is big upping himself on his interview with Sanya, going viral. It didn't go viral. It was the first time the heifer had actually said anything. Ain't nobody really trying to interview her because she's boring. But you gave her the time of day, and we kind of wanted to hear what she had to say, get, maybe some foreshadowing that something good was coming this season, but that didn't seem to happen because it probably ain't. Oh, thank God. 15 minutes left. But he says, I do these interviews to show you their softer side of Sears. Oh, now we get to Sanya saying she didn't want Kandi on the show and Kandi getting butthurt about it. I mean, Sanya said, I've already worked with Kandi, so if I was casting, I'd cast some different people for a different show. I think Kandi was just too upset by that. Like, you getting down with the peasants when you're supposed to be a queen. It's very Nicki Minaj. He said nobody made that go viral because it wasn't that shady, and I'm the shade master. The shade master. You are the jester of shit starting. I'll give you that. Handing Danielle Staub that book underneath the table. But a shade master, you would have to be able to enunciate to be a shade master. You see, even if you could think, which you can't, to be a shade master, even if you had that kind of sense of humor, your jokes would get caught up in your impediments. To be a shade master, you have to have direct delivery, excellent elocution, and above average oratory skills. None of those things you possess, Carlos. None. You love to hear yourself talk, darling, but you're the only one. So now Carlos goes after Kandi again, saying, you said Sanya only wanted to be cast with people that were her fan. Why are you dissecting Kandi, talking about Sanya's fantasy choice for housewives? It ain't that deep, but honey, you getting to the bottom of this puddle. I see why you was working with Bravo, beating a dead horse. I have a strong feeling the last 15 minutes are going to be about Sanya and Kandi and this mythical cast. Because you ain't got nothing else to talk about, Carlos. Certainly not your own shows. Carlos said he is a fan of people, except for Elise Neal. I don't think you let a light fall on somebody you a fan of head, and Kandi Burruss, because you ain't going to try to steal from somebody you're a fan of. But he does have a point, Kandi. Being somebody's fan isn't an insult. I mean, without your fans, where would you be? Poe. So he said all that to say Kandi likes to have yes people around her. But you won't put up a spittle guard around yourself to shield people from your thick-tongued showers. Now we talking about Kenya saying she wanted to have one baby daddy rather than multiples. But my question is, you got a dud of a donor. Like, you've alluded to him not coming to see Brooklyn, him not being involved with her. So why would you want your second child to have the same shitty pappy? I could see it if, like, okay, he's a good man, he'll be a good father. Our romance didn't work, but he's a good father. I could see that he don't seem like he a good father. You don't sing his fatherly praises. When a man's a good father, a woman will let you know. A woman will let you know. She will bring it up. You'll be talking about paper towels, and she'll be like, you know, my man, he always be bringing over some paper towels because the kids be mad. And ain't nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But Kenya, why would you want your second child to also have an absentee father? And that's a real question. Like, I get two men are a lot to juggle, but, I mean, he ain't there. So he ain't gonna be that much to juggle. At least, you know, maybe a second man could be more of a father to Brooklyn than Mark. I mean, maybe you could get it right second time around, but I don't know. I'm just asking. Ladies in the chat, let me know your thoughts on that. Because for me, if I was like, oh, wow, you really turned out to, you know, be a feces, I wouldn't be like, but let me have another baby with you. I'd try to find a winner. Then Carlos gonna defend it by saying, well, y'all didn't go off on Khloe Kardashian and Kim Kardashian and Kylie Jenner, because we don't give a fuck about them hoes. We don't give a shit about an appropriating asshole. They deserve what they get. Oh, you wanna so bad? Here it is. Here it is. Deal with the headache. He liked the brunch because this was the first time Sheree presented herself as an OG. And in 15 years, that's pathetic. But is Sheree an OG or an almost? Oh God, a force multiplier. You haven't said that in so long. I thought you had stopped trying to make fetch happen. He said everybody listened to Sheree and she did a great job playing neutral. The heifers went along with it because they wanted to see Kandi and Marlo fight again. Sheree don't have no clout. He wanted Marlo and Kandi to have a one-on-one because their issue is manufactured. He thinks Sheree is the anchor and should be put in more of a leadership position. I only think that's true because we are so bored with Kandi Pachycephалus. But I'm sorry, Sheree doesn't have the gravitas or the money to be in a leadership position. She's about to trip and fall down the stairs of life as she always does. Well, that was enough of your impediment. Let's get to Kandi's speak on it.